wrestling fans of all ages, shapes, sizes, genders, and everything in between. It is time to go to war and be the cure for the Common Wrestling Podcast. Welcome to the revolution.
Buzz, guys. My name is Kate Murphy.
What's going on, everybody? This is Will Tarashuk, the founder of the Kings of the Rings podcast.
What's going on, guys? It is I, the one and only Quiet Riot himself, Zach, your host of the Young Lions Perspective.
What's up, guys? This is the Monday Night Delight.
Greetings, one and all. This is your Prime Minister speaking, your favorite Canadian, Mr. Fretz.
Hey, what's up, you guys? This is NateFNGreat from the Game Changer Podcast.
If you're looking for a network that keeps wrestling real, then you've come to the right place because
you're listening to...
You are listening to...
You are listening to...
You are listening...
Then you are listening.
Get ready for a war, because you're listening to...
What is going on, everybody? This is King Ricky Rose, your general manager, and you are listening to Wrestle, Addict Radio. Now enjoy the show.
Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to change the landscape of podcasting as you know it in professional wrestling. This is the Game Changer Podcast. Featuring the greatest asset to come out of Canada, the legendary Mr. Fretz.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
I love myself. There's something so condescending to the champ to get out of my ring.
They think they got the answers. I change the questions. I did it all by my sweet little self. Two-time Slammy Award winner. I knew it. I'm a winner. I did it. Wow.
As well as featuring yours truly, the Game Changer, Nate the Effin' Great.
I've had it. It's time for you to start listening to somebody else, and that somebody else is going to be me, and it's going to be right now. The dirty secret is you need this generation more than it needs you. You're not going to come out here and talk about how it should have been you, it should have been me, it should have been you, it should have been you, it should have been you, it should have been you 8 years ago, and it was kind of, then it wasn't, and it's not going to be again, and it's not going to happen. Just get over it.
I am the best on this microphone, in that ring, even in commentary. Nobody can touch me.
We change the game one day at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready, let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Coda Jacobs, the crusader and visionary behind a brighter future in wrestling. If you're an honorable and noble public servant like myself, you are listening to the Game Changer Podcast.
Oh, bask in his glory.
For he is limitless.
Bask in his glory. Oh, bask in his glory.
For he is limitless.
Bask in his glory. Oh, bask in his glory.
For he is limitless. Oh, who is he? Who's that champ I see? Rhetorical question, but they all know the answer. Keith Lee! Yeah, and I ain't playing around. Think you can stand up to me, but it's best you stay on the ground.
Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the era of limitless opportunities. Welcome to this episode of the Game Changer Podcast. I am your fellow broski, woo woo woo, you bro it, Nate the Effin' Great, being joined here by everybody's favorite friendly neighborhood Canadian, the one and only Mr. Fretz.
Now let's see if I can do this without spilling a drop this week. Drum roll. Hey! There it is.
Too sweet, baby. So we went an entire episode without spilling anything. But that doesn't mean that probably my phone's going to fall over, because almost like 2 or 3 times my phone has kind of fallen over because I'm basically recording in a different area. I figured, what the heck? It's a nice stormy night out. Might as well try something different.
Some of that bleeding rain, dude. It rained here for like 15 seconds, and then, living on a beach, just it's getting dry AF. It's getting drier than insert comment yourself.
It's getting drier than most of the commie bits that you would see on the Kings of the Rings podcast. No, I'm kidding. Those guys are awesome.
Whoa.
I'm kidding. Love you guys at the Kings of the Rings. You are amazing. Kate Murphy, Will Tershaw, you guys are awesome. What about King Ricky?
Forgetting the current double champion, King Ricky.
Oh wait, that's right. Keith Lee's the double champ. I'm kidding. King Ricky is also great. I definitely do want to say this, that he and another fellow member of our Patreon are neck and neck in the competition to find out who is going to be the first person on the Wrestle Addict radio game show, which we are still working on a title, but hopefully by July 15th, so probably next week, we should have a title set up, and we'll probably have the first contender ready to go. So if you guys want to be a part of that, go to Patreon right now. It's only going to cost you $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 whole dollars, and that whole thing just falls over again. And that already picked up on the microphone, but whatever.
That's three.
Yeah, whatever. So honestly, guys, before we even get into like the meat, nitty gritty stuff that we normally talk about, we actually have quite the eventful week to kind of cover for a bit. So, in all honesty, let's just dive right into it. First of all, I want to say a giant FU to Robert Stone for denying me the privilege of being a part of the Robert Stone brand. You jerk.
He doesn't see the greatness in front of him. Dude, you can go to the top without that guy. I told you that.
You know what? That's fair. And besides, he's probably going to get his arm torn off by Rhea Ripley in like the distant future, if not by somebody else. Who knows? So, Robert Stone, I wish you the best of luck in your future killing, because we know that you're just going to get destroyed. Let's face it. It's just a lot of stuff there. I will also say that Lance Archer replied to me this past week when I was doing Fighter Fest, where I basically just said I loved seeing him evolve, and basically I said I think he munches on jobbers for like breakfast or something like that, and then he just is like the classic Italian, mwah, gif out of that. So it's like, damn it all, that's gonna just. I feel like now that's real. He's gonna be like the next. Oh gosh, what is it? He's gonna be like the next person on like The Walking Dead. That's gonna be an actual really big time name star. Oh wait, Walking Dead's probably done. No, Walking Dead's done. So the Rise of Walking Dead, whatever they decide to reboot it with, who knows at this point? They're rebooting everything.
Ugh. No.
just the no. That's more than enough said. But yeah, Fretz and I also wanted to give a bit of a small memorial to one of our good friends, Mr. Anthony DeStefano, who made a very public announcement this past week. Mr. Fretz, why don't you give us all the details?
Well, this week, Ant, you know him from Rant with Ant, and I believe there was, I can't think of the thing that Rant with Ant came from, but, he had that, and of course, after he left Wrestle Addict Radio, he had, the rant and the 5-second rule, the whiz wit, and, Ant decided, because his co-host, Shiny Head Kyle, and friend of the show, Brad, or whichever, I forget which way around they are, life is taking them in different directions, and they're like, yeah, they have to end the 5-second rule, unfortunately, and Ant said, I'm just going to retire from podcasting, so, yeah, Ant is a guy that you and I have been listening to, I think. Well, I've been listening to him since he came on to Kings of the Rings at WrestleMania 34. And after that, I'm like, hey, if King Ricky's putting this guy over, I'm going to go check him out. And I was hooked. Ant's the kind of guy, he's a very down-to-earth wrestling fan. He's not your typical Twitter fan. You know the kind of fans you see on Twitter. I'll just say that. And he helped me see wrestling in a different light. I mean, he helped me become a Roman Reigns fan, for frig's sakes. If you listen to me on Kings of the Rings, I'm quite negative about Roman Reigns. and he helped me see wrestling through something different. Keep wrestling real. I mean, that's one hell of a soundbite, but it's also one hell of a mission statement. And he got our foot in the door into Wrestle Addict Radio on his way out, and I'm forever grateful for him for that, because guys like him and the Kings of the Rings, well, they are very instrumental in wanting me to do this. So to Ant, a toast to you, good brother. This isn't goodbye. This is, hey, we're going to stay in touch. And I got something off my podcasting bucket list, and that was when we did a part of the show with him. So that was very awesome. Very down-to-earth guy, great father, great friend. And hey, I look forward to just shooting the shit with him in chats and social media about everything else. Cheers to you, brother.
It's really crazy, because I definitely, cheers go out to Ant and to Brad and Kyle. They definitely brought on a crazy bit of entertainment that honestly will never be replicated, whether it was the rant or the 5-second rules. So definitely shout out to those guys. We, of course, can always talk positively about Ant, because, as Fretz said, he definitely was a big influence as far as what it was for us for wrestling, to keep it real, to keep it positive, but also the fact that he kind of introduced us into this wrestling community where it's not all bad. It really isn't. It's one of those things where there are a lot of really great people there, and getting the chance to meet him and talk to him, in person when I went over to WrestleMania 35 was just absolutely amazing. I mean, the pictures that you see of just people just having fun, having big smiles, those are legit smiles. They aren't just kind of one of those things where they're just like, oh, we'll just take this picture, make it look like we're having fun. No, Ant was one of those guys who wanted to make sure that everybody was included, and that's one of the things that I always admire, especially when he left from wrestling and wanted to talk about some other things, whether it was Florida versus everyone, or whether it was talking about John Stamos, or bringing out the Creed songs
with arms wide open.
It's just really crazy how he could just be so versatile and just absolutely amazing at podcasting and just being an entertainer. And one of the things that kind of stood out to me when he was doing his kind of, I guess you could say, farewell speech was the fact that he mentioned doing it for about 5 years. And it's crazy, because then, I've been talking all throughout this year. I'm celebrating 5 years of podcasting as well. And it is one of those things where you definitely listen to his words about, trying to find that passion, trying to find that thing that keeps you going. It's not always that easy. I mean, there are still some times, in nowadays where I think to myself, is it worth just continuing podcasting? But that always changes. Every single time, Fretz and I, we go on the Skype call, it's like, it's worth it, because we get to have fun, we get to talk about wrestling, we get to talk about even anything that we really want. In all honesty, there's probably going to be so many rants and Ruthless Aggression Pod, and maybe even those wrestling girls, even just so many references from so many different shows that we just love to have fun and just shoot the breeze. And that's one of the things that I think Anthony definitely wants from everybody, is to enjoy life, to be positive in life, not to look on all the negatives and just let them accumulate. He wants us to look at the fact that, there's a negative every now and then, but there are more positives in life than anything. To enjoy life, to just be able to go out and be able to say, hey, I lived. And that is something that I truly believe Anthony DiStefano was. So, Anthony, major props to you for taking this giant leap. Looking forward to seeing what the next chapter in your life is going to be. I know that it's going to be crazy busy. I mean, he's doing 2 jobs. He's got 2 kids. He's got a wife. He is the working man to a T. And all honesty, just looking forward to seeing, more success coming to him, to his family, and just more positive things in his life. And like you said, it's not a, goodbye. It's more of a ta-ta for now. And, honestly, this is the guy who literally has not only said that he believed in us, but he's been a bigger part of this than people really give credit for. He's always going to be like the number one guy I go to when I need like a design for a logo, whether I need a design for something like a T-shirt design. He's always that guy that go into it. And guys, I can tell you this right now: he is the guy who's going to give us the new T-shirt that is going to be a Game Changer podcast deal going into August. So definitely look out for that, and definitely look out for more designs from Anthony DiStefano, because he's one of those guys that I'm definitely going to be keeping in the loop for quite a while.
Yeah, he also has done, those of you on Patreon, or if you listen to the Fretzlemania podcast feed on Spotify, you will occasionally see my logos for Fretz's Fave 5 and the 20 Bell Salute, both of which actually I think came out this week. I highly suggest the July 2000 episode. It's fully loaded, pun intended, you'll see why. Yeah, he's done those logos for me, and my Mr. Fretz logo that you will see on some of my social medias, and I'm hoping to get all of those designs on shirts at some point as well. So cheers to that. He's a hell of a designer. All the logos you see on Wrestle Addict Radio, at least I think a large chunk of them are done by him.
No, I definitely do see that. And also, definitely do want to give, again, a shout-out to Kyle, as well as to Brad. You guys definitely brought another level of entertainment to the show along with Anthony. I love Kyle just having kind of like this straight, kind of like straight and narrow kind of humor, and then Brad just had the out of nowhere, laughs at the most random of things. It's just absolutely great. Just having three different personalities all meeting up and just having fun, and that's what really mattered. And honestly, it's going to be one of those things that it's going to be hard to even replicate. That it will never be replicated. Let's just say that right now. So again, to the rant, to the 5-second rule, to Rant with Ant, you guys are absolutely wonderful, and it's time to continue that legacy by keeping things positive and keeping life real. That's the way I see it.
Totally, bro. That's couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, so Mr. Fretz, obviously in the world of wrestling, we had a bit of a crazy week. We had Night 2 of the Great American Bash for NXT, as well as Night 2 for Fyter Fest. So guys, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of like a breakdown as what happened at Fyter Fest. All you really need to know is A, Puppy Bowl. More of that, please and thank you. B, it's just awesome. B, the tag team title matchup between Street Profits as well as Kenny and Hangman. Still really good. Also, Matthew P.S. Hardy. I want that to be a shirt now because obvious reasons.
Oh, I just got it.
I have yet to get a response from Matt, but maybe he's just rolling his eyes like, yeah, whatever. The 8-man tag that featured the Lucha Bros, Butcher and Blade, FTR, and Young Bucks was just lit. And, geez, the return of the FTW Championship. I never thought I would see that, but I said it in a tweet. I said that this was literally machine recognizing machine. The frickin' suplex machine literally giving the championship that he created, that he made awesome. He gave it to the next machine, that being Cage. This is gonna be interesting to see how well they continue this, but I think that it's a huge endorsement to get from Taz to Brian Cage, and I think Cage is definitely going to be just a huge star going into AEW. And then the main event, Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. More of that, please. I will definitely take this more than the greatest wrestling match ever. I'm just stating that right now, because Orange Cassidy was a made star by Chris Jericho, and everything in between that was just so good. Just absolutely amazing. So yeah, Fyter Fest Night 2 was honestly down for the books. Definitely worth watching through. It's definitely one of those events that, again, it's unfortunate because of the circumstances that we have right now. But again, wrestling has become an escape for so many people. And the fact that, AEW, WWE, and so many other places have definitely been trying to help us have that escape, it really does help make things better in life. But AEW Fyter Fest Night 2, really good.
Yep, and there's also, I think this weekend, New Japan has Dominion and or the finals of the Super J Cup. And spoiler alert, if anyone hasn't seen any of the tournament yet, I'm giving you a 5-second warning for the final match. It's going to be awesome. 5, 4, 3
minutes and we're out of here. I'm going.
No, and it is Okada versus Evil.
Ooh.
My gosh, I swear to God, if Evil doesn't win, and I think the winner of that gets a shot at Tetsuya Naito. Either of those, like Okada's the guy that Naito beat to win the double championship. So yeah, yes, please. But Evil versus Naito, I'm all over that. That should be this weekend. Zach, I know you're on vacation, but you can still correct me. Hope you're having fun in Denver.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Young Lions Perspective because they are great.
What was that?
I said shout out to the Young Lions Perspective because he is great.
Oh, fantastic. And as I said, if anyone ever goes to the Denver area, I want to recommend a few places for you. Estes Park, Colorado, which is just a tiny town right outside of Rocky Mountain National Park, which is another must-visit. National parks might not be much of a thing right now, but if you drive up the mountain, it's gorgeous. Just bring extra sunscreen because the sun might be a little bit closer to you and give you sunburn. I don't know that from experience. Ernie's Pizza in Denver and Dave's Smokin' Barbecue, a barbecue joint in Estes Park. Anyways, plugs aside there. NXT, Great American Bash Night 2. I watched both shows after work last night, so up until about 3 in the morning watching all this, but it was totally worth it. We had a street fight between Candice LeRae and Mia Yim, and it went all over the place, and it went to a small catering table that still had some mandarins and bananas on it, and there was a guy in the audience. I mean, if it wasn't Rick Boogs, I wouldn't be surprised. It's like, hey, hit her with the bananas! Hey, hit her with the mandarins or something. Fair fight! In the end, we had LeRae getting a win here with, I think it was a swinging neck breaker off the top rope onto a pile of chairs in the middle of the ring. It looked like a really stiff spot. More of that, please. I mean, the women's division, I was just watching Mr. Warren Hayes. He does live YouTube every Thursday night at 9. Highly suggest checking him out. He's got a great chat and a great community there as well. Another good brother. I think he's on with Fightful. But everyone in there, he was talking about how the women's division right now is carrying the entire in NXT, yes. Tony Nese and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed squashes him next. We have Bronson Reed. Oh, nope. Gargano and Isaiah Swerve Scott. Fantastic match. A lot of stiff shots, a lot of quick offense. Gargano getting the one final beat. Breezango and Drake Maverick versus Legado del Fantasma, which is, of course, El Fantasma, Raul Mendoza, and Joaquin Wilde. The heels got a sneaky win here with the Phantom Driver. And Breezango came out dressed as Los Conquistadors.
Oh my god. Did they at least do a pre-match deal where they only just say C?
No, they just came to the ring in the masks and did probably the Conquistadors dance kind of deal.
I could just imagine that now.
But the Tron had the cactus in the desert, and I immediately went to Red Dead Redemption for that. So I thought they were gonna come out as Arthur Morgan. Mercedes Martinez versus Santana Garrett. Mercedes just killed this girl. Fisherman's Buster, boom. Mercedes makes her return. And then the winner-take-all match. Keith Lee and Adam Cole. Have you seen this match yet?
I have seen this matchup, and it was beautiful. This was a beautiful matchup.
So good. 25 super kicks, 5 last calls, and Keith Lee just kept going Super Saiyan, gets to a spot where he catches Adam Cole into a power bomb, hangs on, hits him with the Spirit Bomb, brings him up again for the Big Bang Catastrophe, and we have a new NXT champ. And he's a double champ.
The reign of Cole is over.
The long reign is over. And Adam Cole, I gotta give props to his title reign. He legitimized an already legitimized title. I mean, 400 and something. This is the CM Punk version of the NXT title reign. Mm-hmm. And he can only go up from here. I mean, if it's main roster, or if, hey, I'm going to hang around in NXT and help put over the rest of the crowd, kind of like a Finn Balor spot, I'm all for it. I love Adam Cole. I love Keith Lee, and I'm kind of like Pritchard in a way. I can't wait to see what's next when it comes to the title defenses. I'm thinking Cross for one of them. So
that was something that did stand out after that matchup was over. Was that Cross and Scarlett were just like in a higher up balcony deal. Keith Lee celebrating his win. They're just kind of watching on, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, I mean, Scarlett did bring out that hourglass, and he was right. They were right about the fact that Adam Cole's reign as NXT champion was dwindling down, but I did not expect Keith Lee. And in all honesty, I sent in a tweet, with all the adversity and all the hurdles that Keith Lee had to go through to get to where he is now, it is just absolutely amazing seeing how Keith Lee has grown from being just this random guy on NXT to being one of the biggest players in NXT, and now he is the guy of NXT. He's holding the North America Championship. He's holding the NXT Championship. He is now the cornerstone of what NXT is right now. And in all honesty, I cannot ask for anyone better. This guy puts on amazing matches. He just creates memorable moments. He is legitimately one of those guys that I'm looking forward to seeing succeed more and more. And in all honesty, I would probably prefer him to be in NXT because he could definitely be one of those guys that really creates new talent and really brings that next generation into the fold. But if he goes to the main roster, hell, there's a lot of shit that we would love to see him in. I mean, Keith Lee versus Roman Reigns, the rematch, I think we need that.
Yeah. Keith Lee versus... You name it. I mean, if I can just sidebar quickly, there's a picture. I think it might have happened on TV or off TV, but there's a picture of him celebrating with Dominik Dijakovic. Oh, wow. He's just giving the whole arms around him thing. They're really good buds in real life, but if that's the North American title match right there, and Dijakovic gets his win back, I'm all for that. But if we got, you know what, screw it, Keith Lee versus Mark Henry. Why not? Keith Lee versus... I could see him going up against another small guy that he can whip around like he did Adam Cole, like Seth Rollins. Although he's not in the company anymore, I can see a guy like Moxley or Jericho. Just look up Keith Lee's Evolve matches. I mean, King Ricky is the reason I became a Keith Lee fan, getting a little bit into Evolve. But, excuse me, speaking of the Evolve conversation, Austin Theory and Keith Lee? Yeah. Book that.
You got a major thumbs up from me. I would love to see that. So before we go into our first commercial break, guys, we do have to do a little bit of sad business in the world of wrestling, and that is the world of Chikara. As we know, it has finally had the final nail in the coffin. Chikara Wrestling is, a lot of reports have said, no more. And it's a really sad time because Chikara wasn't ever going to be as big as like a WWE, a TNA, or AEW. Probably not. But it was still a really fun-filled, another form of wrestling that we just enjoyed. I can tell you this, that I loved a lot of the Chikara stuff because when it came to wrestling and comedy, they did a damn good job of that. I mean, the Ant Army, oh my gosh, those Ant Army is just one of my favorite factions that came out of that entire deal. It also was the thing that introduced me to Chuck Taylor. And I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember when Chuck Taylor used to do the invisible grenade?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. It is so amazing. So basically it's a situation where one of my favorite moments is basically he's got this like invisible grenade. He just tosses in the ring, and it basically is like a slow motion deal where the crowd is involved, everybody in the ring's involved, and even the announcers are kind of talking really slowly. I mean, there's like one Ant that's just throwing one of his comrades out of the ring, and they're just like going super slow motion. Oh shit! It's just so funny just seeing that. There's even one moment where Chuck Taylor took the invisible grenade, somebody kicked it in the air, and then he just turned the guy around, pulled his shorts, it went into his shorts, and then they just played it off like he did an atomic drop, and it was just like a massive explosion. Like the ring just blew up. Even the referee falls over. Chuck Taylor's just like limping, just like, I blew up my leg, damn it. It's awesome. But as soon as I saw Chuck Taylor in AEW, like, oh my gosh, I love this guy. He's great. And Trent Beretta, holy cow. Okay, I'm kind of interested to see it. Okay, Best Friends is one of my favorite tag teams. I'm cool with this. Also, Best Friends versus Wild and Randy. Sign me up for that. I really want to see that. Trust me. And I'll talk more about Wild and Randy a little later on during the show. But always sad to hear another wrestling organization that had a lot of potential and definitely had a lot of great memories in it. Because even with the comedy stuff, they had some really great matches. They had some really great stars going through there, like Pac and Omega, Cedric Alexander. So many great people that wrestled there and just had barn burner of matches, even in Chikara. That's really just absolutely amazing. But much like apparently NWA Power, Chikara is seemingly done and done. So definitely major props to Chikara, to all wrestling promotions that are unfortunately suffering throughout this pandemic. We're going to get through this, and it's only going to get better from here. I know it doesn't seem like that right now, but believe me when I say it, that's the best thing I can say right now, is that it's only going to get better from here. It's not going to get worse.
Yeah, Chikara, we know why it had to shut its doors. We've talked extensively about speaking out, but that's why. But it sucks. I didn't watch a lot of Chikara. Honestly, the only thing I really knew about the promotion was the annual King of Trios tournament, where it's just a 6-man tag tournament, and once in a while they'll bring out a nostalgia act, like Sean Waltman dressed up as the 1-2-3 Kid.
Oh, that's awesome.
For one of them, and I think Just Incredible might have put on the yellow jockstrap and became Aldo Montoya. I didn't watch a lot of Chikara, and NWA Power. I hope NWA Power is okay, because that was the highlight of my Tuesday nights. I love Power. COVID be damned, it sucks, but hey, shit happens, and here's hoping the best for everyone involved.
Definitely. All right, guys, we're going to take our first commercial break, and then when we come back, it's time for us to talk about Bill. I think people might know who I'm talking about, but we'll explain more when we come back.
Hi, I'm NateFNGreat. You know what's really fun, you guys, is just spending some time creating wrestling moments, whether it's being in the crowd, cutting promos, or just really kind of beating each other up with a chair or a trash can. Well, let's just say that there's a safer way to doing that without using the actual chair or a trash can. Go over to Great Minds Revolution Incorporated. My buddy Kurt has actually created a very safe and fun way to be a wrestling fan without the necessary lawsuits of basically beating each other up with real stuff. He has an inflatable chair that is really fun to just whack around, and it could also double as a little floaty for a pool. He also has the inflatable trash can, which, you guys, is really awesome because let's say maybe you don't want to use it for wrestling matches. You could use it at your barbecue, your next big tailgate party, whatever you could think of. Great Minds Revolution, Inc. They do a great job on making wrestling fun again. Proud friends of the Game Changer podcast.
What's going on, everybody? This is the Queen Bee, the HBIC of Wrestle Addict Radio, the Kate Murphy. Why do fools fall in love? Should I change my Tinder bio? These questions and more will all be answered on our new Patreon-exclusive show, Love and War. Watch me and King Ricky Rose tackle the questions and struggles of finding love as a wrestling fan. Love is a battlefield, and this is Love and War, exclusively on the Wrestle Addict Radio Patreon.
Hey everyone, it's the Princess of Pro Wrestling, SoCal Val. You are listening to the Game Changer podcast. Sending lots of love from California. Mwah.
Used to feeling like I'm under the gun. Born on a Sunday in the house of the rising sun. The clouds were black, but I refused to run. I could see through the smoke, I could feel it. Live and let live, take it all the way. Fight another fight for another day. Everything has changed, but the truth remains. I fight until my fists are bleeding, heart stops beating.
You know, Fretz, it's really weird because I think I just realized that only about 2 of those social outcasts are still employed by WWE.
Wait, who were they again? They were...
I think it was...
wasn't Adam Rose one of them?
It was Adam Rose, Heath Slater, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel, I believe it was.
They have all been released.
Oh, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel got released?
They're gone. I think they're gone, dude.
I have not heard news about that. I thought that they were still employed, but...
I'll Google that quickly while you...
Well, we talk about Bill. Now, who are we talking about? Are we talking about Bill Nye? No.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader, that would have been a good one. Oh, man. So if you saw my Twitter at RealFNGame, you did notice the fact that I tried to play a little joke where I was saying, like, we're going to talk about Bill. Bill. No, the science guy. No, the other Bill. I'm just a Bill, just an ordinary Bill, sitting here on Capitol Hill. No, Goldberg.
They call me Bill. Yeah, Henning and... Okay, Curtis Axel, I think, has been released, but it says Bo Dallas is still under contract.
Okay, so only one of those guys are left employed by WWE. Holy crap. So... Bo Dallas, for those of you that are hoping to believe that we're going to get a Bo Dallas push, you may get your wish. Who knows at this point? I mean, Raw and SmackDown are run for a audience of 1 nowadays, so I've given up on Raw and SmackDown as of late. This whole thing with the whole the whole COVID deal. And it's just, everything is just, it's just so bleak. It's like, this should be a time where I should be happy. Drew McIntyre's WWE champion. He's putting on great matches. Also, Otis is Money in the Bank holder, and he's hooking up with one of the hottest women ever. He's literally me. You know, metaphorically. He's like the everyday guy. It's like, hey, you can get the hot girl. You just gotta believe. You just gotta be a good guy. I think that's what they were trying to get across. Who knows? I don't even know anymore. What were we talking about? Oh, Bill Goldberg. That's right. We're talking about Bill Goldberg because, it felt like a very WCW-esque month because last week we covered a little bit of we covered the NWO. And I thought, let's talk about another thing that really made WCW fun, and that was Goldberg. Goldberg, who played for the Atlanta Falcons, then transitioned on to wrestling. He literally came out one night and he just walloped Bill DeMont. Just in a matter of minutes, it's like, oh, okay, so this guy's got a little bit of potential. And then time went on, you start seeing him kind of doing the same thing over and over and over again. Back when spamming moves was kind of more acceptable than, nowadays, where people have spam this, no, this sucks, spam this, no, why must you do this to us? Why must you continue to make us suffer through the whole spamming situation? But yeah, Goldberg was always the guy who Eric Bischoff said best. He came out, he would snort, he would spit, he would hit you again, spear you, jackhammer you, and people went nuts. And it worked. Goldberg was just that guy who was just literally like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to wreck some shit, and then I'm going to leave. Not even say a word.
Yeah, that was his MO. I was trying to think of the term, yeah. Bill's MO was just kind of like a prototype of Brock Lesnar, like eat, sleep, suplex, repeat. He was just all kick ass and leave, like, kind of like Roddy Piper in They Live, kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum. But Bill Goldberg, do you know the number of his kayfabe winning streak before the incident?
I'm trying to remember this because I should know this at this point. I think, wasn't it like 189?
What I got here, I'll have to credit Matt McMuscles for his WCW video. 173.
Oh.
And if you were to try to do the math, it wouldn't add up to that because he had Nitro, and then 4 months into his run, Thunder would have debuted. And maybe the odd Saturday night. Count pay-per-views in a year. Actually, that might be close, but yeah, he just plowed through everyone, and I will never forget watching. I think I watched his first appearance. He squashed Hugh Morris, and he just goes, "That's one," or like, "That's number one," or something like that. Plows through everybody. He would eventually go on to be the United States champion, and whom did he defeat? Nate, do you know this?
Was it? No, it wasn't Scott Hall. Fuck, who was it? Kurt Hennig?
What about him?
Oh my gosh.
About Raven? Spring Stampede 90.
I went straight to Canyon. What about Canyon?
Better than Canyon. Oh, R.I.P. man. Oh, I loved Canyon so much. And here's a little quiz for you here. So we finally got to see a little bit of Goldberg's strength when he wrestled people like the Giant and another 7-foot-plus wrestler. Then yes, you can teach that. Named Reese, who was part of Raven's flock. Do you know who Reese once wrestled as in WCW?
Was he the Mummy?
The Yeti! You got it. Yes, he was the Yeti. And then the Yeti came out later as a gigantic luchador. I didn't take a lot of notes for the Goldberg thing here. A lot of it's in my brain. And, and I had a busy week with work, and my mother was visiting. Shout out to Mother Fretz.
Mama Fretz,
always coming up with baked goods for her kids and the grandkids. and I just saw the Cracker Barrel Clash bump with the barrel on the stairs. Oh. That hurts. It's on in front of me right now, the All Out or whatever it is. But then there was... Goldberg kept on defending the U.S. title and beating everybody until this fateful night. I believe it was July 8th, 1998. And what happened on this fateful day, Nathaniel?
Well, Mr. James Fretz, I believe that Goldberg was given an opportunity to challenge for the WCW/NWO Heavyweight Championship against then champion Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Dang. Yeah, that was the only Goldberg thing I managed to watch this week, and you know what? That match still holds up, even with the shenanigans with friggin' Karl Malone.
The Karl Malone is oh my gosh. That guy deserves to be in like every Hall of Fame, including WWE Hall of Fame, just for that picture-perfect diamond cutter on Kurt Hennig. That was just great. Just everybody just lost their shit when that happened, and then they realized, oh wait a minute, we got a title match up here. Goldberg, boom, boom, new champion. Oh shit!
In Atlanta, in Bad Street, Atlanta, GA, Bill's hometown, I believe. Yeah. All the shenanigans.
Speaking of shenanigans, that was the one thing that stood out to me with this matchup was that Hogan used the belt, and then he used a chair. It was like there's no like DQ in this or something. Is this not clarified? Well, what's going on here? Because I'm all sorts of confused. Because somebody's gonna say, "Oh, it's on the outside, so it doesn't count." It's like, what? Is this how WCW plays? What? I'm confused.
It's where the big boys play, Nate.
Okay, fair enough. I had to look at I have to look at the adjective. You're right.
Look at the adjective play. Yeah, and it's also worth noting, earlier in the night on Nitro, this was back when Nitro was 3 hours and you need a little liquid courage to get through the show. But the rest of that show, I recommend watching that Nitro. It's not bad. Yeah, Bill defended the U.S. title against Scott Hall successfully, obviously. And then he went on to steamroll through the NWO, but this is one thing that WCW, I think, had a habit of doing if it wasn't just this. You got this marquee match that you want to build and build. What was July's pay-per-view in 98? Bash at the Beach?
Probably. Maybe
save it for Bash, but I think they kind of blew their load a little early here with this, because this is a match you could have saved and built and taken to Starrcade. Yeah, I know it's 6 months after this, but Starrcade was Goldberg's first pay-per-view appearance in 97, I think. And then you build up, kind of like they did Sting and Hogan in 97, except not as long and not as terrible.
Yeah.
And you could have had, it was like every month, someone different in the NWO. And every month they would have some way to stop him. Let's get Kevin Nash at Hog Wild. Let's break out the taser. He no-sells the taser and plows him because he's Bill effing Goldberg. But despite that, this match was awesome. Hogan played his part. A lot of people think that Hogan, he's a politician. He'll never do business. No, he knew the business. He knew that doing the business for this match, even he knew. And I think he's even said it in shooter interviews. But it's great. Hogan was that despicable dickhead. He dropped the leg. He used every desperate tactic in the book. Nope. Bill comes out on top and helps vanquish the NWO, if not temporarily.
That is very true. I will say this, one other matchup in WCW that was definitely showcasing Bill Goldberg, but also showcased his opponent very well, was his match at Halloween Havoc 98 against Bang Diamond Dallas Page. I just rewatched that matchup, and oh my god, that matchup is so good. Just that counter from the jackhammer to the diamond cutter, and people are just going, what? Holy shit! Holy shit! We're gonna see a new champion! It's like, it's pandemonium, because DDP was slowly getting that build. He was starting to get that rise to being the headliner, and having him against Goldberg, and they even played the history, like, DDP brought Goldberg into the business. Like, that's good storytelling. So this is kind of one of those things where they're showcasing that DDP could have the advantage on there. You have that, but you also have him literally just doing everything that he can to take down Goldberg. He did a flying clothesline, did so much other crap. He did a freaking head scissors to Goldberg. Guy's like over 6 foot tall, and he does a freaking head scissors. DDP is the man. I don't care what anybody says. He deserves to be in every Hall of Fame. Also, try DDP yoga. It's awesome. That was just great. Now, fast forward a bit to his time in WWE. A lot of stuff is hit and miss, and for obvious reasons. I mean, his first loss was in the Elimination Chamber, and it was by a kryptonite-coated sledgehammer, I guess. His first match against The Rock was kind of squeamish because obviously they did not understand what made Goldberg Goldberg. He's a guy who literally is just does short bursts of energy, does a lot of just great power stuff. And I think Adam Blumpy said best. He does the deal with his face where he's like, some things that he's not good at. Prolonged matches, promos, and unless he's being himself, he's not the best at promos. Honestly, I do agree with, I think it was Brian Zane, who said that Goldberg should have literally tried to snap Goldust's arm off when he put that wig on him. It should have been instead he was just like, well, thank you very much for that, but no thanks. And then he secretly just goes, you put this on my head again, I'm going to hurt you. It's like,
you're next.
It would have been one of those things where I would have loved to just see him just like, it's kind of like the Braun Strowman deal, if you remember when it was like Team Raw versus Team SmackDown, where Chris Jericho, he was like the co-captain, passing out scarves to everybody.
I forgot about that.
And Braun's just like, I want that scarf. Then he just takes it and rips it up, and he's like, I don't like scarves. that would have been something. If they would have done that with Goldberg, that would have been funny. Where Goldust would have tried to put the thing on, but Goldberg would have just grabbed his hand, grabbed the wig, and he just ripped it off. And he could have said something like, I like being bald. Do that again, and you're next. If you had done something like that, that would have been good. But as far as like WWE matches, again, it's kind of a hit and miss situation. I will say this, that when we talk about, when we talk about dumpster fire matches, his career in WWE definitely kind of tops that. WrestleMania 20, that was bad. That was bad. That was just one of those things where both him and...
You sold... The crowd made that match.
This is true. They're just like, Austin. They're just staring each other down. And Austin, he's the special guest referee. He's even like, fucking do something. Do something, damn it.
No.
Oh my gosh. But then he had a resurgence, and he came back a few years ago, actually. It's hard to believe. Oh my gosh, it's been that long already. Jeez Louise. Already 2016. He came back for a matchup against Brock Lesnar. It could have been a one-and-done deal. And what did he do? He basically pushes over Brock Lesnar, and Brock's just like, what? Okay. Gets up. Spear! Jackhammer! 1, 2, 3. Oh my god. That just happened. And I think that the reaction of Adam Blumpy, Adam Pacitti, and Jack the Jobber is probably like the best way of just describing it. Literally, they're just like in shock. And the ending deal where just Adam B is just like jaw on the ground, eyes just popping out. He throws his cardboard belt off to the side. Jack is just like, just not even able to say anything. And there's Adam Pacitti going, holy beep! Just like go absolute bananas. Then he says, hey, I might have one Royal Rumble left in me. It's like, okay, we might see some cool stuff. Yep, he eliminates Brock Lesnar again. Wow, they're setting up Brock versus Goldberg at Mania? Well, this will be interesting. Then we had Fastlane. Oh, why? Just why? Kevin Owens losing that championship in a matter of, I think it was 45 seconds. It was less than that. Oh, that was sad. But did it get better? Yeah, kind of, because I did get a chance to watch the Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg match at 32. It's kind of those things where, like, it's pretty good. It's short, sweet, it's to the point. You got some spamming here and there, but at the same time, it's what they're really good at doing, so it works out. I think there was, like, maybe 10 plus German suplexes, 4 spears, and a jackhammer in there, and then an F5, and then that was it. It was like, okay, this is nice. It's kind of cool. Gosh, and then Goldberg would not be seen again to oh no. Oh God. This is going to be tough. Super Showdown, a couple years later. A dream match any other time. Goldberg versus The Undertaker. Now, to be frank, it did last only as long as we'd kind of want it to last, but a couple things kind of happened during this match. One being Goldberg was going for a spear. He had a post, and he busted himself open the hard way. So I was like, okay, this is a little bit tough. Goldberg, he's going for the jackhammer, and okay, brain buster. And Undertaker even said it himself. He said that he's maybe that close to possibly being paralyzed. And thankfully, he definitely was not. Goldberg got a tombstone. I think he might have gotten a bit of a stinger from that one. Choke slam, 1, 2, 3. A matchup we would have loved to have seen years ago. Nowadays, just tough to watch. And we try not to remember. So we're going to just kind of forget about that matchup. And go into talking about his matchup with Dolph Ziggler, which was kind of a redemption for him. He ate a couple super kicks, then a spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3, it's over, and then Dolph had to shoot his mouth off and get speared a couple more times. And to be honest, looking back at it, it's kind of those things where I think in the moment I was just like, this is stupid. But now looking back at it, it's like, okay, this is kind of funny. This is kind of entertaining, seeing Dolph Ziggler literally just shooting his mouth off. And then it's almost like the dad is coming to just punish his son some more because the son does not know when to take a hint. Just like it's like you old man, you can't do it, you can't beat me. And then dad just comes back. He's like, okay, gives him a beating, walks away. He's out of the room. Is that the best you got? Here's the music. Here comes Goldberg, and then he just kills him again. Oh my gosh, that. I will say this. Was it one of the highlights of the show? Yes. And it was definitely in a positive way because, like I said, we got to see Goldberg kill, and we got to see Dolph Ziggler literally get just massacred. And all honesty, I also want to mention this, that I love especially the night after, because they mentioned Dolph Ziggler was taking on The Miz on the Raw after SummerSlam. And one of my favorite moments is still when Dolph Ziggler is talking on the microphone and Miz gives him a skull-crushing finale while the microphone is still in his hand. It's one of those things where it's like, wow, 2019 was an interesting year for Mr. Ziggler's. But it definitely was one of those things where it's like, you remember Dolph Ziggler during 2019. It's like, yeah, he got massacred by Goldberg, and then he got just got pitch slapped by The Miz. But yeah, Goldberg's WWE run is probably best left unsaid unless you're talking about some of the things he did with Brock and Dolph Ziggler. That's kind of about it. But what about his stuff with Triple H? And that's about it.
I didn't mind his some of his first run with, namely with stuff with Triple H, because they made a decent whodunit kind of angle with the I'm gonna put a bounty on Goldberg's head, and who takes it? Batista. I don't remember if we actually get, pardon me, a couple times, that match. I think Batista was having injury problems at this time. And if there's one thing about Hogan, is this goes back to WCW and WWE. At least in the WWE, they didn't give him, like, the streak, if you will. I kind of liked how there was a couple other wrestlers within WCW having a streak, and one guy kind of took the 173-0 thing and just kind of added Steiner-math to it, and that was Sid. His Millennium Man streak, and he had his own personal referee in Charles Robinson. So he would have like, I'm 86-0, and then on Thunder 2 days later, I'm 107. And Wrath, a.k.a. Adam Bomb, he was a guy that was going on a tear around the same time. And they were I think there was rumor and innuendo about having a streak versus streak match at Starrcade one year with Wrath and Goldberg, but that Wrath and Goldberg match just ended up being a throwaway squash on Thunder, which is a damn shame because I loved Wrath. With Goldberg, they didn't know how to book him after the streak, because streaks are made to be broken, whether we like it or not, like Taker's streak. I still think it should stay intact, but that's just me. They didn't know what to do with him, because now that he's lost, he's mortal. He's not Superman, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I'll credit, like, WWE knew how to book The Undertaker after they lost his WrestleMania streak, because he had a redemption. Goldberg had a nonsensical, wacky storyline with, who was it after Starrcade? Bam Bam Bigelow, and like some kind of kidnapping fiasco where there was a false accusation. Although I watched Nitro to the end, I tuned out in early '99, especially after the friggin' finger poke. But Bill, and I think Bill was on the sidelines for a little bit. He didn't have that same aura. He didn't have that same luster about him after Starrcade '98. All thanks to Scott Hall and a taser. Kevin Nash just had to get out his creative control book. I'm sorry, I'm breaking out a Chris Jericho book for that to make my point, but ironic kind of in a way. But
it was rough.
His early WCW stuff was the stuff of legends, because they just found this guy in the power plant and they thought, okay, let's make something with him. And you build all these matches, and then you realize, oh, Bill hasn't lost yet. Let's roll with this. And you keep going. Despite the fact that this first, 4 months, he's taken out Mike Enos, Wayne Bloom, the guy that played Demolition Smash, Barry Darso. He's taking out nobodies. And then you think, oh, okay, he's taking out this guy. And I just came to my mind now that his storyline with Bret Hart, namely the stuff where in Toronto, I'll never forget, this was a Nitro in Toronto. You know, Bret Hart was wearing the Maple Leaf jersey, as you do to get cheap heat in Toronto. Pouring into my Maple Leafs blanket here. In the cheap pop, I'm sorry. And Bret Hart with the breastplate under the jersey when Bill speared him. Iconic. The rest of Bill and Bret we don't need to talk about, but that was I think that was the last great moment for Bill post-streak, was his brief interaction with Bret and the friggin' spear in the breastplate. But when you're building up a new star, namely one that's going to go on an undefeated streak for a Tatanka amount of time, have plans when he or she or they lose. They didn't have that with Bill, and I think that was much to his detriment.
It definitely was. Although I will say another great moment that happened in Bill's career was his debut in Madison Square Garden. Because literally all he had to do was go out and beat someone. This person is a huge star in the Ruthless Aggression pod, and they're promoting the fact that he might be making a comeback. And that being the white boy beater himself, Rodney Mack. The whole entire deal where Rodney Mack is doing this like white boy challenge where basically any white boy that wants to come out and beat him got 5 minutes with him. That's back when Teddy Long was just, oh my gosh, Teddy Long is just great. So they're basically like, oh hey, come on, see who's gonna fight Rodney Mack. It could be any white boy. And for me, I'm already just like, any white boy? Ooh, boy. And the crowd is already just like, Goldberg, Goldberg. Yep, here's his music. Here comes Goldberg. Rodney Mack's like, nope, I'm going to get the jump on him. And then literally has this comical deal where he gets, like, knocked down the ramp. And Rodney's just spinning all the way down the ramp. It's like this cheesy deal where it's like, dude, you could have done so much more than looking like a freaking can going down a freaking slide. But then gets in the ring, 30 seconds later, Goldberg wins. It's like, well, so much for the white boy challenge. You got killed by the biggest white boy of them all in Goldberg.
True that. I forgot about that moment actually now, and I forgot about Rodney Mack, and he wrestled at one of the only house shows I've ever attended. So, that's a good one. But if we have to talk about favorite moments in WWE, we've already mentioned it, but it's Survivor Series 2016. Just that stare down, you see the push, then just spear. The crowd goes nuts, and I'm not only saying that because it was in Toronto, actually a lot saying it because it was in Toronto, because a lot of iconic moments happen in the six. I think Slack was in the crowd for that one. That was before we knew who he was, because Survivor Series 2016. Yeah, that would have been just after King Ricky joined Kings of the Rings, and around the time I think I started listening to them on the regular. I think, but that was amazing. And Bill, Bill versus Triple H at Unforgiven when he won the title. He should have won the bloody title at SummerSlam in the Chamber. I don't want to talk. If I'm doing the 20 bell salute in 3 years, I'm going to have to unfortunately relive that shit. But that friggin' Kryptonite sledgehammer and the Kevin Nash with short hair because he was filming The Punisher.
That's right.
He was like that one of the villains in The Punisher, and I'll never forget his death sequence in that movie when he got a knife through the chin, like right in the just below the chin on the neck, like boom, right there. It was disgusting. That movie sucked. My buddies are. I'm watching it with my buddies. They're baked. I'm drunk because I don't smoke. It's like, where do you see me? And then my friend goes, he leans into me. He's going to say, in the obituaries, isn't he? In the obituaries. Nailed it. Fuck that movie. Oh, man. And if we want to talk something about Bill, you're going to hear more about this on Fretz's Fave 5 this coming week, so this is a sneak preview for my Fave 5 wrestler moments, wrestling in film, wrestlers in film. I've asked some of our friends in the Patreon to help me out with this, so you're going to be hearing all their shout-outs. But Bill Goldberg in The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler, love that movie.
Oh my god.
Santa Slime, not so much.
Gosh, that just... it's funny. I do remember you asking that question in our Patreon chat, and I think one of the Patreon members mentioned that. I was just like, oh crap, that's right. That's like one of the best movies to feature wrestlers. Is The Longest Yard, because you have Goldberg literally just being the guy who's just being Goldberg. He's also the guy with apparently a huge wang. Kevin Nash acting like a sissy because he took estrogen pills.
Bob Sapp making Steve Austin crap himself.
Oh my gosh, that was great. I think what I said was that he was Stone Cold was just the guy going like, that's how a white man runs a football. Moments later, gets killed by Bob Sapp. I think I made him shit himself.
I think he shit himself. Yeah, trigger warning. There is a little bit of racism in that movie, folks. I'm going to let you know right there. He calls Nelly a very bad word that you should never, ever, ever say. I do like the movie. I think it's one of Adam Sandler's last good movies. Although I did enjoy a Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. There was you can think like, isn't that movie kind of homophobic? It actually shines for an early aughts movie. It does shine a positive light on same-sex couples in a Sandler kind of way. But I thought that was admirable in that. But Bill, great career. We can ignore some of the bad. The Taker match didn't happen. But what about the last ride? It didn't happen.
We try to ignore the fact that almost was Undertaker's last match. But no, honestly, Bill Goldberg, for all the crap that he gets, he definitely does create memorable moments. He's got to have the right person to mesh with to really put on like great matches. Like we mentioned only like a few. We mentioned DDP. We did mention Hogan. We mentioned Brock Lesnar. The later years, not 2004, because that was just sad. And hell, even Dolph Ziggler. He's a smaller guy. It works. There's a lot of people that, if you're a big guy, you'll probably look a lot more menacing. I get with a smaller guy. Ask Ricochet. Okay, no, I'm sad. But Goldberg definitely was one of those guys who I look at, and was he a game changer? He definitely was. He was one of those guys who definitely embodied what it was to be just this badass character, but he could also be a guy that just knew how to create memorable moments. I mean, even if we took away like some of his matches, some of the moments that he did, like him spearing, I think it was Jamal or Rosie through the barricade, him doing the spear to Brock Lesnar at No Way Out 2004, helping Eddie Guerrero win the WWE title, him literally going through every single person that he could and just spearing people, giving them jackhammers. The jackhammer that we mentioned before to the Giant. Big Show was at least probably like 400 some odd pounds and 7 foot tall, and he was holding him up for at least like 2, maybe 5 seconds at most. That was crazy.
Bulldog stalling suplex style, bro.
It was just crazy, just seeing that. I mean, honestly, another kind of memorable deal, even though a lot of people kind of want to forget about it, was his match at WrestleMania against Braun Strowman. This is literally just a deal where it's like, spam this, spam that, spam this, spam that. But it was short enough, and it worked. It made Braun Strowman look tough. Goldberg, he definitely tried his best to continue his best to hold his second Universal title run. But no, he was still there to do a job, and that was to make Braun look good and to put Braun over. And he did both. Now, everything that happens afterwards with Braun Strowman is beyond our control. But Goldberg has been one of those guys who has earned every single bit of credibility that he's earned. He's earned the recognition, positive and negative. but he's also earned his place in wrestling history, and definitely one of those guys who deserves to be in a lot of the Hall of Fames. Do I think he's got it to be in the Wrestling Hall of Fame? He probably is right now. I'm almost calling it right now that he is. But yeah, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's one of those guys who...
He is.
He is one of... Oh, he is in the Wrestling Hall of Fame? Like the actual pro wrestling?
I think he's in the WWE Hall of Fame now that I think of it.
Yeah.
Is he?
Oh yeah, he is.
Hey Siri.
I think he was in...
Is Bill Goldberg in the WWE Hall of Fame?
I found this on the web.
It's got to be like the last...
2018.
2018. Man, 2 years ago. Jeez Louise. It's crazy to think now. But, yeah. No, he's earned every single accolade, and he's earned all the notoriety that he has. And he's one of those guys that proves that, you don't have to be perfect, but you definitely do need to, just be careful with who you wrestle with, because sometimes it doesn't always work out as well as you'd want it to. Case in point, probably Kevin Nash.
Chris Jericho? Oh, wait, that's backstage. Never mind.
Jeez. We talked about that. If we talk about that backstage story, man, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be crazy.
Or when he wrestled William Regal and Regal tried to wrestle him, made him look kind of foolish. Yeah, yeah. Chris Jericho. Oh man, I got to give him all the credit. He took down Bill backstage and quite easily. And Chris ain't that much bigger than me, and he managed to do that to I don't know, 6'5", 270.
To a former Atlanta football player.
The Atlanta Falcons.
Oh boy!
If you get that reference, can of Coke or can of White Claw.
Can of corn, I'll be fine.
Can of corn. If we stop, if all you giving Kenny for Thanksgiving is a can of corn, he's going to have a pretty corny Thanksgiving. Yeah, if you get that reference, I'll buy you a case.
So much generosity. Oh, man. So, yeah, Goldberg, is he game changer? Yes. Is he perfect? No. But he definitely deserves a lot of the positive recognition that he's put on the great thing that is professional wrestling.
Bill, in my mind, was one of the people that really helped WCW during the latter part of the 83-week streak. And, Nitro, after that streak was broken by Austin versus McMahon, Nitro still won a few weeks in 98. I mean, the night he beat Bill Goldberg included, they demolished Raw in the ratings. I think the last time Nitro got any headway in the ratings war was probably just before Starrcade, and there goes your camera again.
Yeah.
That's going to make some great video. Yeah, Bill was one of the. I'm trying to think of a best term here, but not the forefathers or whatever. Just one of the best moments and moment makers of the Monday Night Wars. Nitro, although it started in 95 and Bill didn't come around till 97, he was prominent, and I think he helped Nitro in the case of winning the war. Whoever he was against, channels were changing over to Nitro. It's like, okay, what's going on in WWE? Taka Michinoku versus Brian Christopher. Good match, but what's going on over here? Oh, there's this new guy named Bill Goldberg, and he's going up against, Steve McMichael, Mongo. What will Mongo do next on Twitter? Watch that. It's funny. Mongo's career is funny. Hilarious stuff. Yeah, and okay, so who's this guy? He just beat this guy in 2 minutes. He creamed him. Spear, jackhammer. I love that move. I want to see more of this guy. And yeah, and there was so much intrigue with Bill. You're like, okay, who's he going to beat now? Is what we were looking at every week on Nitro. Thunder, Saturday night. He did wrestle on Saturday night a bunch. Okay, who's he going to wrestle on pay-per-view? Is it what's Bill gonna do? It was kind of like Steve Austin in a way. We're like every week we're waiting on the newest attempted vehicular manslaughter by Steve Austin. Hey, he came out in a Zamboni, and I know those things are hard to drive, deceptively hard to drive. Look it out on TV, it's like, yeah, it's not that bad. No. You gotta know when to lower the blades. You gotta know when to, lower the squeegee part of it as well. I've tried it. I worked in an arena for a very short period of time. Nah. Steve, he grew up on a farm, so he knows his way around machinery. Hell, son, it was like driving a tractor. Yeah, Bill, he had an aura. And as I've said before, that aura, that luster was just a bit of it was gone, or a lot of it was gone when he lost the streak to of all people, Diesel. But I'll ask you this, kind of bringing back the random question of the week deal in a way.
Okay.
If you were booking Nitro and you were tasked with, okay, I want you to book Bill Goldberg's defeat, who would it be by?
Oh, DDP. DDP would have been the one, because I would have loved to have seen a series of matches between DDP and Goldberg. Maybe have a situation where it starts at Halloween Havoc 98. They have a great matchup. Goldberg wins. Fast forward a bit, they go on to another matchup. Maybe it could happen at a Fall Brawl or something like that. DDP, he gets closer, but Goldberg finds a way to win. Then we have Starrcade. Goldberg, DDP, the final chapter. Literally, it's like DDP's last chance at the WCW Heavyweight title. And that would be the moment where I would have DDP pick up the victory. It's one of those things where there's a story there. You could build up so much on it, and it would create for a very interesting deal, because now Goldberg is going to be... He could arguably he could turn heel, where it's like, he let his streak and his fame kind of get the better of him, and now that they took it away from him, now he's got an incentive to be like, yeah, I'm literally going to destroy you. He's going to literally just go after DDP and just wreck him, because DDP took away the one thing that he had, and that was the streak, and that also would be the WCW Heavyweight title. So I think DDP would be the best choice for that.
I would fully agree with you there. DDP would have been at the top of my list. The only other guy, in my mind, I'm like, why did I think of Sid? I think I just, maybe because I thought of that fake Millennium Man faux streak that he built to kind of
that'd be funny.
Take the piss out of Goldberg. I would laugh because I'm a Sid mark. I mean, I named one of my cats after Sid when I was a kid, and that's the God honest truth. I did. Yeah, I think DDP is the only guy I would have booked for that, unless they were to bring in some kind of big Braun-esque sized guy to WCW in 1999. And no, I don't mean Reese, a.k.a. the Yeti again. And for the love of the everything holy, do not give Hogan back his win. Because in my mind, I'm like, oh, they would have booked Hogan. Like, Starrcade, they would have done it to give Hogan his win back. Like, nah, man, that's not how you do it. But yeah, I love the DDP analogy. And just the Halloween Havoc thing. I think you and I might have reviewed that.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the first, I think it was the first, I said it was the first pay-per-view I watched. And what happens? 20 seconds into the match, there's a bump to the outside, pay-per-view cut. It's one of the most infamous things ever. And then finally, I think they aired the rest of the match on Nitro, but It was good. That was Bill's best match. And you know what, I would have Bill maybe hang on an extra year with the streak. And who breaks it? Well, this is where I would put that storyline with Bret Hart and the breastplate, because WCW Mayhem 1999 took place in Toronto, where that very thing took place, I think, in 2000 or 99, I can't remember, but Bret Hart maybe, but with that, him wearing the breastplate underneath something, so when he gets speared, bails out. That's how the streak would break. At least for me, too. Both of those situations, like the DDP one.
Either way, it'd be a win-win. So, yeah, I would say that we would go to our final commercial break, but in all honesty, guys, I think that we are just about wrapped up with this episode. It's time for us to do some cheap plugs, and we're going to call it a night. So I definitely do want to give a shout-out, major shout-out to the boys, to our boys, Brady, as well as Pete over at the Movie Men podcast, because I got a nice little shout-out from them there, as they were talking about the movie. Now I'm trying to remember what the movie was that they were. The Great Gatsby. That's right. Definitely one of those movies that I need to get a chance to see. I remember I actually was supposed to read the book. It was either in grade school or in high school. I can't remember which one it was. But them basically kind of talking about the story about it. It's like, yeah, I actually do remember this, because I do remember us having to read it, and I remember actually not doing so well in that class because I was not much of a bookworm. But nowadays, give me a good book, I'll be able to read it. So definitely shout out to those guys there. Ruthless Aggression Pod, we kind of mentioned, the whole Goldberg getting the bounty deal on him. Ironically enough, they were talking about Survivor Series of 2003, one of the more interesting Survivor Series shows, but also featuring one of the greatest Survivor Series matches of all time. And unfortunately, no, it was not with John Cena and Matt Bloom. Sorry, guys. Also, those wrestling girls, they have been doing a lot of spotlight showcases. One of the recent ones they did with Molly Holly. In all honesty, just absolutely great. And getting the chance to meet Molly Holly was also just a joy of joys. Next time I need to get a picture with her, because she's just great. Definitely check out Goa TV, Grown Ass Women, because this past week they had Melina on the show. So definitely enjoy that wonderful quadlings, I think it is, of those four women just being absolutely great. And guys, also check out everybody at Wrestle Addict Radio, Kings of the Rings, Young Lions Perspective, The Delight Show, as well as us here at the Game Changer Podcast. We always like to keep wrestling real, but we also love to keep things positive and for your enjoyment. I will also say this, Fretz. One of the things that I thought was kind of funny was when the Wrestle Addict Radio Twitter posted up the fact that they had the Kings of the Rings podcast, the Young Lions Perspective, The Delight Show, and Team Game Changer. It's like, oh shit, our patent went through. Holy crap, that's awesome.
Woohoo!
We're Team Game Changer. Sweet. We got our own brand on the Wrestle Addict Radio Network.
Oh, so that'll be like Team Rhodes Scholars. I'm game, man.
Well, if it's not the case, I'm Cody.
Hey, I would love to be the intellectual one, because I was not a very scholarly student, despite the fact that just before recording, my mom texted me and said, "Hey, I found your third grade book report." report card from third grade. Oh, no. And I just reply, "Oh my God, how bad is that?" And it's like, it's actually good. Yeah, because third grade, all we had was English, art, and math.
Wow.
So, basic, and gym, obviously, but how can you not get a bad grade in gym?
You just usually gotta show up mainly and just walk around.
Yeah, and cheap plugs my way. You know what? I always put them over, but the Cultaholic Classic Raw and SmackDown review. On the SmackDown side of things, I think next week, so next Tuesday, they're going to be doing a live watch-along of WrestleMania 2000.
Oh, nice.
I always listen to the watch-alongs because, I'm at work, whatever. And on the Raw side of things, they're in 1994. They're just a week away from Survivor Series 94 with Chuck Norris making an appearance, Taker and Yoko in a casket match, and Bob Backlund versus Bret Hart for the title. So, yeah, Tom Campbell, who is an absolute treasure who must be protected, Justin Henry, Matthew Gregg, the founder of Botchamania. I always give them a shout. I always give Laser Time and 30-20-10 a shout. This week, the Fretz's Fave 5 is going to be something. Hey, as I said, if you want to do a shout out for it and you have the Anchor app, anchor.fm/FRETZLE Mania, or you can just send me a DM on Twitter with a video attached to it or an audio, whatever. You'll get included into it, and if you have a topic you want me to cover, that's the way to do it. The 20 bell for July, already done. I literally did it, I think, on Canada Day or the day after, just to get it under the rug. August, I haven't looked at the movies, but I think Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is one of them. Ooh. SummerSlam 2000, which you and I are reviewing, and I have on the blog, so I already have it in the can up here. I don't even need to watch it again, but I'm going to, because it's awesome. What do I have for other plugs? I have... I'm just scrolling through my phone. The RA Era podcast, the UK Ruthless Pod, who are on their way to Bad Blood and Great American Bash 2004. Steve Dangle podcast. If you're a hockey fan, you don't have to be the Leafs fan to like this podcast, but these guys are great. Steve, Adam, and Jesse, great hockey fans. They're also giant nerds. They love Dragon Ball Z. They love some other stuff. Steve just had a kid, so congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Dangle on their son. Awesome. Attitude Era, Fourth Wall, Dusty Dave, and DFDC with The Crossroads. We all give them a shout, and I again, huge thank you and props to the Rant. I know they're done, but I think that if you're a Patreon member of the 5 Second Rule Pod, there might be some stuff in the can just to finish off the month, and that'll be the swan song. And I'm glad you and I got to have Ant on the show.
Yes.
Like that, as I said, that was a bucket list, and that was a really great surprise. Shout out to all of that.
That was just absolutely so much fun, and that is going to definitely remain in our hearts as one of the special podcasts now. So before we go, you guys, I wanted to take a page out of the Movie Men podcast, because one of the things that they like to do is they like to recommend movies at the end for the hosts to watch. Well, for us, I thought it might be kind of cool if we suggested at least a pay-per-view from any year, any company, to actually just watch it. So, Mr. Fretz, I'm going to give you a bit of an easy one. For next week, before we do the recording for the next show, I would like for you to watch the show that started it all for me. So, I would like for you to check out SummerSlam 2004.
Hey, that's a Toronto show.
It is a Toronto show, which makes it even better.
Yeah, I remember that one. I remember them booing the crap out of Edge. Well, if I have to give you a recommendation, I think I gave you this recommendation before, but watch the rest of the show of Fully Loaded 2000.
You got it. I will watch the entirety of Fully Loaded 2000. And we'll definitely give our thoughts, and we will have more recommendations for next week, you guys, because it's fun to do reviews, but it's also fun to just enjoy shows and just give our thoughts on it. So, that being said, this has been the Game Changer Podcast. You can check us out on our Twitter handles at @TheLegendaryJF, as well as at RealFNGame. Definitely check out everybody at Addict_Wrestle for Wrestle Addict Radio. All the great people that we mentioned, of course. That being the Kings of the Rings podcast as well. as the Young Lions Perspective and the Delight Show from Brother Mance, because he's a very delightful individual, as I do say so myself.
Just finished off WCW too.
Damn it. And definitely check us out on so many different podcasting forums, different podcasting networks, whether it is on Spotify, here on Spreaker.com, iTunes, which sadly enough is going away soon because Apple and iTunes are apparently severing ties.
Excuse me?
Well, apparently free music is better. So definitely.
Well, at least my iPhone 11, my brand new iPhone 11, has a podcasting app separate from iTunes. Eat a dick, iTunes.
Fair enough. So, with that being said, I've been NateFNGreat. He has been the legendary Mr. Fretzlemania. And we have been the Game Changer Podcast. Guys, keep wrestling real. Stay positive. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And just remember that if you decide to be a dick, just remember that you're next.
I'm next?
Limitless. Bask in his glory. Bask in his glory. For he is limitless. Oh, who is he? Who's that champ I see? Rhetorical question, but they all know the answer. Keith Lee. Yeah, and I ain't playing around. Think you can stand up to me, but it's best you stay on the ground. Lay still and don't make a sound, cause I'm just getting started, boy, and yeah, I'm making them rounds. I put my blood, sweat, and tears on that gridiron. I've been the greatest for years, and you just still trying.